Well, looking at this new Cherokee, it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good, but it doesn't look great. In fact, most people would agree that the front end is kind of the real area of disappointment here, isn't it? I think actually, from the side and from the rear, they nailed it. And it's quite a contrast here as well. It doesn't make sense because we get this very clean look on the side and even mostly on the rear. There's not a lot of fuss. There's not a lot of just extra stuff, styling just thrown on for no reason. Except at the front, that's exactly what happened. I mean, this whole front bumper is a disaster, isn't it? I mean, there's lines everywhere. Everywhere you look, there's just lines for the sake of lines. Really, a lot of this is just fake, isn't it? So, yeah, it's like, what is all this? Right? What is really going on here? It's a lot of black plastic that doesn't really serve any functional purpose. And so with just some small minor changes, we can make it look a lot better. A lot better. And kind of the whole point of this video too is not to do like a complete redesign. And of course you could redesign everything on this thing, right? The headlights, the grille, the hood, the bumper, the fenders, the mirrors. you could do everything. That's not the point, right? The point is to take the design that we got and optimize it, not really change it. Just optimize it, because a lot of this is just, it's a mess, isn't it? It's a mess. So, and it could have looked so much better. Could have looked so much better. So let's talk about some of the changes that I made here and why these changes were made. It's kind of the moral of the story here is you always want to design something for a purpose, for a function, right? You don't want to just throw lines on there for no reason. And kind of the biggest culprit here is this section here. They've kind of highlighted this and made this almost like a design cue for this generation, because there is kind of, it's mimicked on the rear a little bit as well with the squares in the lower bumper. So, almost missed that line. So yeah, they kind of, this is like a real highlighted design element, and yet the problem is it's completely fake, right? This is just a fake vent. It's a half-ass attempt, really, at even just trying to make it look like a vent, right? Because it's so shallow. So yeah, you can just clearly see that it's fake. And of course, people will defend this thing and say, well, the designers wanted that to be open, but then, the aerodynamicists said, no, we got to close that off, right? We got to close it because it improves aerodynamics, it reduces drag, and that's going to give us better fuel economy. Well, that's true. Of course that's true. But, if this is the case, if the aerodynamicists have supremacy over the designers, then the designers need to change it, right? You got to go back to the drawing board and change it. You can't have this front and center element be completely fake, right? You can't do that. So that's a big no-no. So yeah, in the new version, I kind of solved this problem a little bit by moving the fog lights to the upper part. So that can be still closed off, right? That can still be closed off. And then open up the lower section, right? So this is now functional. And, yes, you're going to have more air come through there, but you can always block off, you know what I mean? Like, you can block off a little bit more of this, right? Block this off. You can do other things here, right? And it's the same story with these. What are these? Just this slot that looks completely fake on the sides, right? So now, of course, air curtains, this is the newest trend, right? You would have a little duct there, and then it would actually shoot out of the front wheel well, and it basically prevents air that's going around the vehicle from getting sucked into the wheel well, which, would just churn up the air and create a bunch of drag. So, yeah, these look completely fake as well, don't they? Now, the one thing I would say is, even if they are fake, this could still serve an aerodynamic purpose. because just creating this little bump out here, this little edge, the air kind of flowing around the front of the vehicle will hit that and then bump out. You see that? And that does kind of help prevent that air from getting into the front wheel well. Now, of course, it would probably be better if they made it a functional air curtain, but again, we're talking about Stellantis here, aren't we? We can't expect too much. we can't. We got to keep our expectations low here, right? It says we actually moved the fog lights, more to the center. I figured just let's bring this down, right? Let's extend that. It looked a little small anyways, right? Let's extend that, bring that down, and then we can also bring some more paint down, which will definitely help with, it's just too much black cladding, wasn't it? So yeah, that's even just a minor change, but it does kind of help brighten it up, right? It does kind of it doesn't look so cheap. And speaking of brightening it up, yeah, just threw this little skid plate on down here. I mean, this is a Jeep, right? I know it's not the Trailhawk, but it's still a Jeep. I mean, look at even this picture that they're showing. Where's it driving? So yeah, that could be functional, right? It could look good and be functional, and again, brighten it up, just less of that dark black plastic cladding.